Welcome to the Halftime Show, your world of sports in half the time. I'm Colton Tobias.
And I'm Kiara Fry.
And we thank you for joining us for another edition of the Halftime Show. Now, Kiara, we have a lot to get into today. And the first topic we are going to discuss is the main topic that not only has been going on in the NFL world, but also the sports world as well, as Antonio Brown was cut by the New England Patriots last Friday, as he was only on the team for 13 days. Now, Kiara, I want to get your thoughts on the Steelers, and then I'm going to get into mine because I have a lot to say about this issue. But do you believe he should be ashamed of himself for the actions that he has caused? Because that's how I feel.
I feel similarly. Antonio Brown seems to react really poorly when he's put into negative situations. He comes after other people, and I think that's really hurting his reputation and making him seem kind of like a drama queen to everybody else. He always has a lot to say and a lot to complain about, and he just doesn't really react very well to things. He came after Big Ben when he was leaving the Steelers, and with this new situation, he's coming at the people who accused him, saying that he's going to fight back, and it just isn't a good light for him.
And the thing that bothered me the most with Antonio Brown is how he went after Mr. Kraft on Twitter.
Yes.
He went after Big Ben once again on Twitter, and Shannon Sharpe. And the thing about it is, I think he should be ashamed of himself for the drama that he has caused, and I think in the long run, I think this is going to cost him a shot at the Hall of Fame, which it is just so disappointing that his ego got in the way, because he could have potentially been one of the greatest receivers at all time, but all this other stuff, I guess, just seemed to be more important to him. And, I'm not saying that. I think he should play in the NFL again, but I think he has to clean up his act first. Excuse me. What do you think?
Yeah. I would love to see him continue to play in the NFL because, like you said, he's such a good player and he has so much talent and so much to offer the game. But at the same time, when you're saying that you're not going to play in the NFL anymore, and when you see how he's reacted to so many things and the way that he carries himself, you can kind of see that I don't know that that's going to happen because of his ego and how big it is. I really feel like if he says he's not coming back to the NFL and he doesn't want to play for them anymore and he doesn't like the league, that he's going to stick to it.
And not to mention at this point, do you really think that there is a team out there that would want him for everything that he caused with the Steelers, the Raiders, and now the Patriots? And also, let's not forget the Buffalo Bills, because he was a Bill for one day, but he said, nah, I ain't going to play there. Do you think that a team is going to want him again? Because I really don't. Because I really don't think so.
I agree. I don't think so either. I was shocked after the thing with the Steelers leaving there that any team wanted him then. But I guess it just depends on how desperate your team is, what he can contribute to the team. But he's gone several places, and sort of the same thing has kept happening, and that drama's following him, so that you know that it's him and it's not other people causing this. So I'm really not sure that any team would want him, even though he's super talented.
Yeah, I agree with that. And, I do agree with you on the point that I think that if he says, here's what I think is going to happen. I think he's going to say on Twitter that, I'm going to come back, call me up if anybody is interested. But, I do think that there will be a team that will be desperate for him because with the talent that he does bring to the field, because he does have a lot of talent, but is he going to leave his ego behind? I think that is a topic for another day, because I think we just don't know. Thinking on it now, I don't think he will. But, I guess we'll just have to see what happens with him.
I guess so. I think not playing in the NFL right now could be a humbling experience for him. So you never know. Maybe that ego will kind of diminish a little bit from this.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. And we are going to have to wrap things up here as we are going to have to go to our first break. And coming up, we have some Steelers talk. And also, I went out to Market Square yesterday because I wanted to discuss with some fans on what they feel about the Steelers. So you will see that coming up after the break.
Go. Go to our new website, uview.plainpark.edu.
go, 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 go.
Join UView and find your herd.
Be like, join EOP. And 3, 2, join EOP.
Grab them now, or else I can stop.
Yeah.
Join On Point with Politics. 3, 2, 1.
Join Pioneer Sideline.
Loneliest number that you'll ever do.
Welcome back to the Halftime Show. Now, on today's episode, we are going to introduce a new topic to the show, which is a Man on the Street segment, which is I or one of our reporters will go out and ask random people questions regarding any sports topic that we ask them. Now, I went out the other day because I wanted to get opinions on how Steeler fans are reacting to the 0-3 start to the season with their loss at San Francisco this past weekend. So, without further ado, take a look at our first Man on the Street segment. The Steelers are not off to the start everyone was hoping for, as they now sit at 0-3 with their loss at San Francisco this past weekend. Some might say it's because of Ben's absence, or some might say it's because of Tomlin's play calling, So to get a better feel for how fans are dealing with the loss of the Steelers, I took to the streets of Market Square as the Steelers are dealing with their first 0-3 start since 2013.
Well, my thoughts on the Steelers is we all know that they're 0-3 right now, and to be honest, because Ben Roethlisberger has been out of the season as the quarterback, I feel as though that's the reason why they are not doing so well. And the new quarterback, Rudolph, I think he has potential, but to be honest, he could have a little bit more work to do.
Well, I'm not going to go into panic mode because it's a lot of people playing with each other for the first time. It's a young team, young receiving core. And so you're going to expect, especially when the first 3 games, you play 3 really good defenses. Seattle's a pretty good defense. They're not as good, but the 49ers and Patriots have a great defense. I think it's going to take a little bit of time, especially for Mason Rudolph, to get acclimated to this offense. And this year is a good opportunity to see what he carries and what he can bring to this team. So don't go into full panic mode. There's a rest of the season left. Just time will tell. We'll start clicking soon, I think.
Do you think Ben's out of his prime at this moment?
Yes, sir, I do. Maybe for about 2 years. He had a good last couple of years, but I feel like they should be rebuilding at this point.
Now, Kiara, when I shot that the other day, it's just a lot of the opinions that I got from fans was they think that it's time to move on from Ben and look forward into a different direction with Mason Rudolph. Now, is that how you feel? Because I necessarily don't feel that way yet.
Oh, that's a hard one. I really like Big Ben, and he has been such a staple on the Steelers team for so long that it would be really hard to see him go. But I think before people say that we should let Big Ben go and go with Mason Rudolph, we need to see Mason Rudolph do more. And it's not necessarily that he can't do more or he doesn't have the skills to do more. It's that they're not really giving him those opportunities yet. Like, you saw him throw a couple deep balls, but a lot of how they played wasn't focused on the passing game.
Yeah, that's actually what I was going to say here, because I think you can't, because with Mason Rudolph, he only played 1 game, and you're right, and you have to remember that offense was non-existent in the first half. I mean, they were able to pick it up at in the second half, but it just wasn't enough. I mean, you cannot compare Mason Rudolph to Ben Roethlisberger yet. I mean, I think if Ben does come back, and he said he is going to come back next season, I think I think no matter what, I think they have to play him. Like, I'm not trying to bash Rudolph. I think Rudolph has potential, but just not yet. I think if the Steelers want to win right now, I think Ben has to be a quarterback.
I would agree. I think that Mason needs to play more and get more experience playing with the Steelers and working with our offense before he permanently becomes the number one, just not the fill-in number one since Ben's injured right now.
Yeah, and also I do think that just both sides of the ball have to step up as well. I mean that fumble from James Conner didn't help anyone,
No.
and also that defense was non-existent in the second half. But we were going to have to leave things there. And coming up, we have a different sport that we are going to talk about, which will be volleyball, as the Pitt Panthers took on the Penn State Nittany Lions over the weekend. Don't go anywhere.
The United Student Government at Point Park University, working since the 1970s to solve the issues that matter to you. What concerns do you have about the university? Student life, safety, food service? Send us an email to studentconcerns@pointpark.edu or stop by our office on the 7th floor of the Student Center. You can also attend our weekly open meetings on Mondays at 3:15. Follow us on social media at USG_PPU for more. The United Student Government, by the students, for the students.
The Point Park Sports Network, bringing you live coverage of Pioneer Athletics on Stretch Internet, the home of the River States Conference and the NAIA. Subscribe today for complete access to the Point Park volleyball, baseball, basketball, and soccer teams. Watch live and on-demand broadcasts and don't miss a minute of Point Park Athletics. Head to pointparksports.com/live for broadcast listings. The Point Park Sports Network, your streaming home for Point Park Athletics.
3, 2, 1.
Please visit our website. Please, it's a nice website. Please visit our website. Please.
If you have ever watched television, whether accidentally or on purpose, YouView is for you.
Welcome back. Now we talk about a lot about the big sports in the region, which are football, hockey, and baseball. But there was one other sport that we have not discussed yet, which is volleyball. And the Pitt volleyball team had a big weekend as they faced in-state rival, the Penn State Nittany Lions. Now, Kiera, I want to turn things over to you because you were at the games. Can you tell us a little bit about them?
Yes. The games were insane. Just like any Pitt-Penn State matchup, the environment was crazy. They played in front of a program record 5,195 fans on Sunday, which was insane. So Pitt and Penn State faced off Friday, and Pitt swept Penn State. In the first 3 sets, there wasn't a whole lot of competition. Penn State's offense didn't seem to be as put together as Pitt's was, so that's where they kind of fell behind. But then on Sunday, Penn State came back stronger than they were on Friday. You can tell that they put the work in on Saturday. The two teams went through all 5 sets, and 2 out of the 5 sets went into extra points. And it was an intense environment. There was a lot of back and forth, and there were a lot of good volleys, but there were also a decent amount of service errors, which is what kind of closed the gap between the two teams.
It seemed to be intense for sure. And, I was really happy knowing that Pitt did defeat Penn State, because I guess that kind of makes up for a little bit from when Pitt and Penn State played in football
Just a
few weeks ago. Yeah, just a little. Now, how do you think Pitt volleyball is going to do the rest of the year, Kiera, knowing that they are the defending ACC champions? I mean, I think they have a lot riding on them, and I think with their victory against Penn State, I think will take them into the right direction for the rest of the season. Do you think so?
Yeah, I think Pitt is going to be very strong this season. So their win against Penn State on Friday was actually their first win against the Nittany Lions since the 1970s. So it was a huge deal for them. They seem to always do really well, but for some reason they always fall to Penn State. So that was really interesting. And also, they have a lot of strong hitters. Even though in the game Penn State was able to hold them to their lowest hitting percentage, they have a lot of strong hitters, and their defense is really put together. They know how to communicate and really get the ball back over the net. So I think that that's something that they're doing really well. And also, their record right now is 11-1. Their only losses to Penn State, which they kind of expect almost, and they're just really clicking together as a team.
Yeah. Now, are they still in their non-conference matchups at this moment? Because obviously Penn State's a member of the Big Ten. I mean, have they played any conference opponents yet?
No, they haven't played any conference games yet, but their first conference game is coming up this week, I believe, actually.
Oh, really? Yeah. Now those games are going to be important for sure for the Pitt Panthers if they want any chance to win the ACC title once again, and also let alone also getting there as well. But do you think they have it in them to go back to the ACC championship?
I definitely think they have it in them. They have a lot of returners that were there to win the ACC championship game last year. And junior outside hitter Kayla Lund, she's actually really leading the team, and I think that she's going to play a big role in playing in the ACC championship in the playoffs because she's putting up lots of points, and she is killing almost every ball that comes to her. I think the one thing that the team does need to work on if they want to remain consistent and really compete in the playoffs is those service errors. There were a lot of times where they were serving balls out or they weren't returning the balls off of the first serve, which is something that they really need to work on because it's not an error that you want to see at the level that they're playing.
Yeah. I do want to shift gears real quick regarding Pitt football. I think also, I mean, like you said, 5,195 Pitt fans packed the Peterson Event Center over the weekend. Now, I think that this is really great for the Pitt athletics program, knowing that their volleyball team has done so good. And if you're good, that means fans will come. So I think this is a great thing for the Pitt athletics department. Do you think so?
Absolutely. It's great to see that many fans, turn out.
Yep. Alrighty. Well, that will wrap things up here for the halftime show. My name is Colton the Bias.
And I'm Kiara Fry.
And we thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you right back here next weekend. Have a good night, everybody.